There was a fair that came to a town every summer. One evening, two teenagers ended up sitting next to each other on a giant wheel. They laughed through the entire ride. By the time their feet touched the ground again, they had already made a plan. Same place tomorrow evening. It sounded so certain. But the next morning, one family left town without any warning. The other returned to the fair anyway. Waited, looked around one last time, and went home believing they had been forgotten. Neither of them knew the other had kept the promise. Years later, one of them passed another fair. The music was different, the faces were different. But as the giant wheel slowly turned against the evening sky, an old thought quietly returned. I wonder if it ever came. Some stories don't end because someone leaves. They end because tomorrow quietly changes its mind. And perhaps those are the stories that stay with us the longest. When we think about heartbreak, we usually imagine losing someone we loved, a goodbye, a betrayal, a relationship that slowly fell apart. But there is another kind of heartbreak that rarely gets spoken about. The heartbreak of someone who almost became part of your life. Not the person you lost, the person you never got the chance to find. It's a strange kind of grief because nothing really happened. There are no photographs to look back on, no anniversary to remember, no breakup to recover from. Just a quiet question that occasionally appears without warning. What if life had given us a little more time? Most of us carry someone like that. Maybe it was a classmate you never spoke to again, a stranger you met while traveling, a neighbor who moved away, someone who appeared for just long enough to make you curious and disappeared before curiosity could become a story. It's amazing how much emotion can grow from something that barely had the chance to exist. Perhaps that's because the human mind has an unusual relationship with unfinished stories. Finished stories become memories. Unfinished stories become possibilities. And possibilities have no ending. Think about the people you have truly known. You know their habits, their flaws, the arguments you had, the disappointments. Reality eventually replaces imagination. But the people we almost loved never became real enough for that to happen. They remain suspended in time, forever kind, forever interesting, forever becoming someone they never had the chance to be. We don't remember them as they were. We remember them as they might have been. And those are two very different things. Sometimes we tell ourselves we are missing a person. But if we are honest, we are often missing an imagined future. The conversations that never happened. The holidays that were never planned. The ordinary evenings that somehow feel precious simply because they never existed. We imagine the life we might have built together. We imagine who we might have become. And because none of it ever happened, none of it can be challenged by reality. The imagination protects unfinished dreams far better than memory ever protects finished ones. That's why These stories stay with us for decades, not because they were the greatest loves, but because they never had the chance to become ordinary. Time can't erase a question it was never allowed to answer. Maybe that's why, years later, a familiar song can suddenly stop us in our tracks. Or why passing an old fear can feel strangely personal. Not because we are hoping to find someone, but because for a brief moment, we remember another version of ourselves. Life isn't only shaped by the choices we make, it's also shaped by the moments that never get the opportunity to become choices at all. Perhaps that's why we should be careful with the phrase, the love of my life. Sometimes the love that stays with us isn't the one we shared. It's the one we quietly carried. Not because it was perfect, but because it never stayed long enough to prove it wasn't. Some relationships spend years creating moments without ever creating a life. And perhaps the deepest loves are not always the ones we lived, but the ones we spent a lifetime quietly imagining. Until next time, take care.